Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, it's been an interesting week in politics. We, of course, have the oncoming assembly elections that are looming large. But more than that, we have Rahul Gandhi's trip to the US. It's making headlines back home for all that he said and all that he didn't say. This is also something to do with Rahul's own character trajectory. We've seen him as leader of opposition. He's been taking the lead, taking on the Modi government, and it seems that he is finally here to stay as a politician. What does this mean for the politics in general back home? Is the Modi government on a back foot? How are they countering Rahul Gandhi? And should they counter every comment that he makes? That's something we're going to be discussing on today's show. Joining me on the program is Suhel Seth. He's a marketing maven, but more than that, he's a political commentator and a very astute commentator, I must say, with his comments, and a columnist. Abhijit Iyer-Mitra, again, someone who doesn't hold his words back or his tweets back, political commentator, and Rasheed Kidwai, author of 24 Akbar Road, political columnist, analyst, and senior journalist. Sohail, I'll begin with you. You've written also about brand Rahul, that he's finally come to stay, and also how do you see the trajectory? How do you see his US visit?
His US visit can only be seen through one prism. He wanted to make a mark in the US as leader of opposition. The United States, in its political dispensation, treats opposition leaders very seriously. If you notice, whenever there's a delegation of senators or congressmen and women, they will always make it a point to call on the leader of opposition in any country.
Hmm.
My whole perspective is that say what you want. I'm an absolutist as far as free speech is concerned. But now, when you're leader of opposition, there are some things you needn't have said. What are those things? A, you don't diss your own country when you're abroad. He did, however, to be fair, when someone asked him, he says, no, we will handle our democracy ourselves. But you preface that with a whole load of garbage where you're insulting the prime minister, you're insulting democracy in India, the same democracy that has made you the leader of opposition, the same democracy that has made you hit 99. So my point is, why do you leave yourself open to criticism of the worst kind? A, B. Rahul Gandhi has always been seen as someone who panders to the so-called liberal elite. The common man treats this with disdain. The
Hmm.
common man says, "Yeah, अपने देश की बुराई बाहर जाके कर रहा है आदमी." He doesn't understand the difference between the common man's interpretation of what he says and the so-called liberal elite's interpretation. So therein lies a problem. Third, the BJP gives him too much of bhav. I've said this repeatedly, Priya, on your program. The BJP is perhaps the poorest as far as communication strategy is concerned. They have spokespeople. The spokespeople could have just laughed it off and you would have countered it with greater contempt than by giving it so much of relevance. You know, Bernard Shaw, I think, said, you can be pro me, you can be anti me, but what works totally against me is when you're indifferent. Sometimes indifference is a greater weapon than either being pro or anti someone. I think Rahul Gandhi needs to learn that. He's going there as a representative of India. No matter what you say, he has come a long way since, you know, the last, say, 4 or 5 years. Now you have Sam Petroda who says he's no longer a pappu. It's like asking a person, when was the last time you beat up your wife? Why would you even say that? You are bringing into context some level of derogatory disrepute for no rhyme
Hmm.
or reason. I think he needs better advice. To my mind, there is no question that Rahul Gandhi has a mind of his own. The only worry is, where is that mind headed? You cannot be against your country when you're abroad, period. People told me, on Twitter and on television, oh, but Modi derided India as well during Manmohan Singh's time. Two
He
wrongs
did.
don't make a right, but two wrongs don't make a right. What Modi did was as unforgivable as what Rahul Gandhi is doing. The only problem is when Modi did it through social media. Today, there's social media. Memes are being made. Videos are being made viral. Yes, some videos are being edited to suit the BJP's purpose, as the BJP will do. They're not going to edit videos to make Rahul Gandhi look good. So there's this whole conundrum that he must address the next time that he goes abroad. And finally, both, Abhijit, Rashid, all of us, we're always in the public domain in terms of articulation,
Okay.
auditory speech. In public speaking, the most important thing is to know what not to say. It isn't what you need to say. That's a lesson that Rahul Gandhi must learn.
And we're also joined by Sanjay Jha, former Congress spokesperson, but still a very loyal congressman who's joined us in time to hear what Suhel said, since you'll have to counter that. But first, I'll bring in Rasheed Kidwai. Rasheed, Rahul's US visit and, the points that Suhel made, what is your reaction to that?
Well, I think uh, Priya Rahul can never, pass Suhel Seth test because Mr. Suhel Seth is not a politician. He doesn't contest election. He of course, he's a well-meaning person and he is a good advice. But Rahul is not in need of, good advice. He is in politics. He has to make his mark and he's making it. There is nothing that he has not said in India that he's saying it abroad. And this era of Twitter and social media and Facebook, Insta, everything. This whole business of deshi that Videsh ki dharti mein jaake bola has become all obsolete, outdated. There are no takers other than the BJP. Rahul has a narrative, and that narrative is against, so to say, the functioning of election commission. The kind of difficulties minorities in India are facing, the threat to democracy, there's chronic capitalism, etc. And of course the caste issue, the caste reservation or lack of it. So he's highlighting all that. The BJP, which was like ignoring even mainstream media, which was ignoring him largely in India. Of course, Rahul was not giving interviews, and Rahul had a very kind of negative projection in the mainstream television media in India. When he goes abroad, when he makes this kind of provocative statements, then it has an impact on domestic thing, and everyone talks about it. Rahul's constituency is very sure-footed. You look at all the India, alliance partners, and everybody is welcoming. Even the so-called, the Sikh outrage, there is no outrage. Today also the Congress leaders belonging to Sikh community have come out openly supporting Rahul. So he's ticking all boxes. Whether he'll get it right or not, we'll get to know after the outcome of Jammu Kashmir and Haryana elections. If Congress does well, which is likely to, then Rahul will be seen as, look, here comes a champion. As I
By
said,
the way,
at
BJP
this point
is
of
losing.
time, he is
BJP is
unstoppable.
losing Maharashtra, they're losing Haryana, they're losing Jammu and Kashmir. If the BJP doesn't realize that, and I just want to sorry for one quick interruption. Sanjay that day on a program said, oh, you're swinging. Luckily, I don't swing. I'm still straight. But I was the first person 1.5 years ago, and Priya, you will bear me out, saying that Naib Singh, Saini, and the BJP have ruined Haryana.
Yes.
Ruined to ruination of the worst kind. And I got trolled by the BJP, but I couldn't be bothered because their English is warped. And I'm telling you, they will lose Maharashtra. People are disgusted with their alliance with Ajit Pawar. 100%, I'm telling you today, it's September the 13th, Friday the 13th. They will lose Haryana, they will lose Maharashtra, they will lose Jammu and Kashmir.
So where does that leave Rahul, Rashid, quickly before I get the others?
So that's what I'm saying. So just to conclude, I think so Rahul Gandhi is at this point of time for the BJP, he is becoming unstoppable, and that is his strength. So he's not going to revise, he's not going to listen to Suhel Seth if he's watching your program. He is going to do what he likes doing, and he's very sure-footed, and he's finding traction. You remember many years ago when that Stephanie Cutter had come, was part of our team, Barack Obama, and she had told him, be a polarizing person, be a disruptor. This is exactly he's doing now.
Okay, you could also say he's trying to take out of Modi's book, a page out of Modi's book. What's Abhijit, your reaction to the debate so far?
I'm going to quote from what the Wandemaker Ollivander says in Harry Potter about Voldemort. Voldemort was a great man. He did great things, terrible things, but great nevertheless. So you see, Rahul's a bit like that. The one word I'd use to describe him is a pyromaniac. I actually hope he becomes the prime minister of the country because he needs to harvest the chickens that hatch from the eggs he's laying. I really hope he becomes prime minister and those chickens come home to roost, really. What is he doing? See, I agree completely with Rasheed here. Whoever told him to be polarizing, he's decided to be polarizing because he doesn't want the voter to have, shayad mein idhar vote karu, shayad na karu. He's trying to create a very clear constituency out here where there is absolutely no doubt in the voter's mind. Right? Notice who he's angling for out here. the two people at the bottom of the socio-economic chain. Muslims, Dalits, tribals, and things like that. The caste census is aimed at one, the minorities narrative is aimed at another. My worry in all of this is, well, happiness as well, is that it's a very limited constituency. It's not a constituency that can propel you to any great victory. You look at the vote share in the last election. This is the first time the Congress has crossed the total vote numbers that the Congress got in 1984 in the Rajiv Gandhi election, where they won, what, 400-500 seats or something like that. In that election, they won 120 million votes, which was still much less than what they won any time after that, with a much smaller population. This time they went up to 137 million. But let's put this in proportion. The BJP, in spite of everything, got more votes than it did in the last election. It got 237 million or something like that. There's 100 million vote difference out here, right? So it's a very loud constituency. It's a very focused constituency, but it is a limited constituency nevertheless, because the left in this country, the social justice wing in this country, if you look at the BJP, they've moved so far left. Rahul is just contesting here. Who's going to outflank the BJP from the right? Nobody, right? This is number two. Number three, I think he scored a big victory for himself in this limited constituency in terms of a Punjab state election when it happens. Because the Congress always had its core voter constituency, and there would be the Khalistanis or the Khalistani inclined voters who would never ever vote for the Congress after the Golden Temple and everything, right? But not just 84, but the Golden Temple
prior.
siege.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah. The Golden Temple siege was what set everything in motion, right? 84 was just a follow-on event to that. Today, those people will come out and vote for him. He has healed the rift that Indira Gandhi created with Operation Blue Star. In a sense, I'm not saying healed, wrong words. He's built a bridge. And I think he's really consolidated the position in Punjab. Now, the problem in all of this is the BJP, which should have seen this thing happening, and at least after, the 2024 results, they should have developed new strategies to counter him. They are not. Like Suhel has said, they are heading for a historic, catastrophic defeat in Maharashtra. I'll be surprised if they get over 50 seats. Remember, in the last election, they got 122 seats. In the last election, they got about 105 seats. Now they're going to come down to under 50 seats. At most 50 to 60 milega, usse upar nahi milega. In Haryana, they're going to be wiped out. And it isn't just Naib Singh Sani. Naib Singh Sani is following on ML Khattar. The rot started in ML Khattar's second term itself. And he was kind of rescued and brought to the center to sort of prevent him from becoming the scapegoat. Now, what has ended up happening out here is, we are seeing the BJP double down on all its mistakes. In 2014 and 19, I will add to what Suhel said. It is not just indifference which negates a leader, it is also humor. Humor is, the way you take people down 2-3 notches. Dictators particularly know this, and they hate humor more than anything else. They hate humor more than they hate serious comments. They popularized him. This time, in this election, they Darth Vaderized him. And I bet you if you watch Star Wars, right, nobody votes for Joker. Nobody votes for the Joker in the Batman series. Nobody votes for Chucky in the, the murderous little doll scenes. But everybody that I know who watches Star Wars roots for Darth Vader. Over Luke Skywalker, over Princess Leia, over any of those Han Solo. Right. So they have Darth Vaderized him. They're doubling down on their mistakes. And this is a party where everybody has been in their post for the last 10 years There's been no
Okay.
change. They think they can get away doing the
I'll
same.
come
No.
on the BJP in a bit. Let me quickly get Sanjay in before the break also. But that Vedarism is exactly the advice that Rahul got, become a polarizing figure. So that fits in with that narrative. Sanjay?
Um, Good afternoon, Priya. My major point is that, to borrow from what Abhijit said, Harry Potter, who is called he who cannot be named? We all know, we all know where that is headed and why. Here is the truth. Has Rahul Gandhi said anything during his visit abroad which is not true? Aren't India's institutions dying? Absolutely. You and I discuss it, and the world is talking about it for the last 10 years. Has India become more of a elected autocracy? Yes. Do we have problems in terms of caste and religious polarization? Absolutely. Why is Mr. Modi's government afraid of a caste census? We all know that. Is India suffering from economic inequalities? Absolutely. Uh, is there a terrifying self censorship culture which has been unleashed? Yes.
Hmm.
So if Rahul Gandhi talks about the threat to India's constitution, it is not a secret for the last 10 years, globally and in India, that has been the conversation. Even
Right.
in India, where the big media is highly skewed in favor of this government, the fact remains they have to have this conversation. And even if the opposition is made into a feeble voice, interrupted, and given a low representation, that's what we say every day in the evening and morning and the afternoon. As far as the global media is concerned, they are aware of the truths. Look at
Hmm.
all rankings on press freedom, on inequality, on basically, if you look at the threat to journalists, the kind of religious persecution that has happened in India, that's exactly what Rahul Gandhi is saying. So, what amuses me is, why are we astonished if Rahul Gandhi says something which is known to the entire world, and by the way, which has been known to the entire world 100 times over the last 10 years? Mr. Modi, by the way, when he did a rare, it wasn't a press conference, he allowed one question to be squeezed in during his visit to the United States when he met Joe Biden. One question was asked of him. And what he said led to a huge, not just trolling, but the BJP attacked that reporter, the lady reporter from, I think, from the Wall Street Journal, as if she had committed some kind of a serious crime against India, to question Narendra Modi.
Okay.
The
Hmm.
short answer is, and I don't want to take too long, the BJP is thin skinned. The BJP reacts in this manner because, one, they're insecure. Secondly,
Hmm.
they really genuinely aren't democratic. And Mr. Modi, unfortunately, he can do his rhetoric on a teleprompter. He cannot do what Rahul Gandhi is doing, which is to have
Okay.
conversations with people, be spontaneous and instinctive. You take over the teleprompter, I think Mr. Modi is as good as saying hello, goodbye.
Okay. On that note, we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to come back after a very short break. Hello and welcome back to Roundtable. We are here discussing Rahul Gandhi's politics, especially keeping in mind his visit to the US. Suhel, so by and large, you heard the defense, you heard the explanations. Are you satisfied by that?
I'm no one to be satisfied. I'm just making an observation. You
Hmm.
know, someone used the word, I think you used it, or Abhijit used it, that, or Rashid, disruptor. Yes, great brands, when they are on their way to becoming great brands, they are disruptors. You disrupt the market. The point is that that disruption should therefore translate into votes, which may happen. No one is denying the evolution of brand Rahul Gandhi. No one is denying that. All I'm saying is that there is a context in which you say things. Sanjay said, oh, institutions are weak, and yes. Day before yesterday, the whole country outraged over Modi visiting Chandrachud. And I knew what would happen. The BJP would pull out stuff of Manmohan Singh hosting iftar parties. If this is the level of public discourse, it's a travesty and it's a reflection of us that we are now discussing these things. Now today, Arvind Kejriwal has gotten bail. So is everything all right in the state of Denmark? That's the question that you need to ask. My point is, and Rashid alluded to this, India does not vote on social media. India votes on real issues. The real issues will address themselves. When the BJP loses Maharashtra, Haryana, and Jammu and Kashmir, please don't attribute it to Rahul Gandhi. Attribute it to BJP's lethargic model and miserable model of governance. A. B. Rahul Gandhi has been a force of disruption. The one thing that I wrote in my article as recently as August 22, he is the only pan-India opposition face, which is acceptable. Mamata Banerjee will never be accepted pan-India. Chandrababu Naidu never. Certainly M.K. Stalin, no way. So
Okay.
he has to harness that. And one last thing. You cannot have a democracy without an opposition. And we have seen that today the BJP is on the back foot. It's not about the BJP being on the back foot. The government must be made to feel and behave with accountability.
So Rashid, is Rahul winning or is the BJP losing?
Yeah, so I think Priya, Mr. Narendra Modi had almost a free run from 2014 till 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Now here is a challenger. So the challenger is going about what he does, best, in the sense of, saying things that would provoke BJP, say things that would, upset the BJP, and a sort of, action reaction kind of thing, where he is, setting agenda, he's setting the narrative, and the BJP is following. So it is not the Congress party or Rahul Gandhi who needs to fine tune or revise strategy. It is for the BJP. BJP has to find new ways and methods to tackle Rahul Gandhi. Otherwise, Brian Rahul Gandhi is here to stay. And after elections, no matter what Mr. Suhel Seth says, the victory in state assemblies would be attributed to Mr. Rahul Gandhi. He will get a credit. What Mr. Modi and BJP can do is to remove, Narendra Modi's face from the kind of thing that goes in that election telecast. That it's Nab Singh's defeat, it is Eknath Shinde's defeat. That is what he can do. That kind of that management of news management, but that's not going to work. So things are becoming very difficult, and I would say challenging for the BJP in the time to come.
We've seen posters coming up, not Modi versus Rahul, but Eknath Shinde versus Uddhav Thackeray and Naib Singh Sahni versus Bhupinder Hooda. Probably that's going to happen. But Abhijit, what then should the BJP do to handle Rahul? They cannot make him Pappu again. They made him a Darth Vader sort of figure, which you are saying is perhaps not the right strategy.
Well, look, I'm not capable of winning. The last election I won was about 26 years back in school to become cultural secretary of my school. I haven't contested or won a single election then. So you'll take this entirely as a sort of, armchair strategist point of view. There's a lot you can do, but it doesn't involve anything to do with Rahul. First, they need to get their caste equation right. This time the Thakurs abandoned them in UP, the Dalits abandoned them in UP. They haven't sit down and done any proper introspection of why that happened. In the entire Parsi belt, they didn't give a single Parsi a seat except that one reserved constituency. Right? You've lost Maharashtra spectacularly. Why? Because Fadnavis is using this entire period to settle old scores. Do you know how many states have no election in charge for them right now? UP, for example, does not have an election in charge right now. They're not filling it up. You're working without a party president. First, get your own house in order. Ever since this sort of RSS stopped helping them out, they've lost a very important source of neutral ground intelligence. It's almost like the Indian state losing CBI, RAW, IB, CID all in one night. Okay? It's literally been like that. So they just need to get their house in order. Second, they need to come up with new schemes and keep adding on to things. Ayushman Bharat last to last time kiya tha. Ujjwala Yojana last to last time kiya tha. Toilets Yojana last to last time kiya tha.
Okay.
Is baar kya kar rahe ho? See, and it has nothing to do with Rahul. The thing is, Rahul is hitting the point, I won't say of diminishing returns, but of static ossification. I think he's peaked in that sense. Because like I said, it's a limited constituency. Can I just quickly, very, very quickly, just push back? I would completely disagree with Sanjay in that Modi cannot have conversations. Modi can have fantastic conversations. Did you see his conversation with Navdeep Singh, the lovely little gentleman from Haryana who did the javelin throw and won gold, who said certain unparliamentary words while throwing the javelin, which went viral? And Modi referred to that in the conversation. It was a good sit down. He actually sat down lower than Navdeep, so Navdeep won't feel short while he put the cap on. He has a very local sort of endearment. Whereas when you look at Rahul's engagement with the quote unquote lower classes of society, it's still a very noblesse oblige, the Queen of England going and talking to them. It's like, here, this has touched my glorious lips. Please have a sip from it. You shall be blessed. That's the attitude he exudes. It doesn't, there is a very patronizing sort of I am great, you are not attitude, which Modi does not have. The problem is Modi no longer has these conversations regularly anymore. He's sitting in cloud nine. Look at his Twitter handle. His Twitter handle used to be fun till 2014. Since 2014, it's the most boring Twitter handle on Twitter. I'm like, why am I following this handle? Right.
That's true. And Rahul has become fun, his Twitter handle, whether you'll agree with me or not. But at least, I think he's more fun on social media.
A root canal, I guess, if you're a masochist, can be fun. It's
the best Twitter handle is Congress Kerala. Whoever manages that must be given credit.
Yeah, you're right. Yes.
Okay. Quickly, Sanjay, I'll give you the last word.
Well, Priya, the sum and substance of political existence is that there are no permanent winners and there are no permanent losers in politics. There should be no surprise that Narendra Modi's brand is diminishing because for a long time he got away with a subpar performance simply by, dazzling people with speeches and, all kinds of jibes at the opposition, mocking the Gandhi family and just invoking nationalism, etc. As I think everybody mentioned on the panel, at some point, the chickens do come home to roost. And today, while Abhijit can quote various, international authors and plays, and we can talk about Hollywood blockbusters, they're absolutely right on the bread and butter issues of India. India's moved on from Narendra Modi's speeches. His time is, frankly speaking, over. It's a matter of now the next few elections before I think we are going to see a ceremonial end to what I consider as a dark and lost decade of India. The truth, Priya, is this, that Rahul Gandhi has arrived and you can't stop him. Politics is about momentum. Politics, people who thought Rahul Gandhi will be a static, they're so wrong. It's so presumptuous. It actually betrays a high degree of arrogance or ignorance of realities. No one is the constant. I think you are different from what you were 10 years or 5 years ago. I'm different.
Yeah.
Swati, fellow panelists. Rahul Gandhi is on an upswing. He's sounding like a very sharp political, I will say, personality. He's sounding like a statesman. Even his criticism of Narendra Modi and the BJP is actually one which is measured, which is critical. He's the leader of the opposition, by the way. He represents more than the 37% votes that BJP has. Rahul Gandhi, to my mind, represents 55% of the Indian voice. Can we recognize that truth, for God's sake? This is not about this is not about people like you and English speaking, savvy and suave and very sarcastic and sardonic at will. This is about people getting jobs, inflation, security, their women coming back to work. And Rahul Gandhi has won that narrative. You will see it in the assembly elections that everybody acknowledges. I think we should acknowledge the reality. Narendra Modi's time as the BJP and India's head is fast coming to an end, which is good for the country.
Okay, I think it's in the end, it's politics of diminishing returns. Someone here says Rahul Gandhi's diminishing returns. Sanjay is saying Narendra Modi's diminishing returns, which in a way is also a sad commentary on Indian politics, if it's not a positive narrative, but that of diminishing returns. But on that
last thing, many ways what Sanjay has said is what brands are all about. So it's not that only Rahul Gandhi is sailing, but Modi's sinking. So is Rahul Gandhi sailing because Modi is sinking, or because Modi is sinking is Rahul Gandhi sailing? That's the conundrum. That's the dilemma. And that's what you need to solve. Who's helping who to sail or sink?
And that's the topic for my next debate, which I'm going to call you all back on. But thank you so much for now for this conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you.
Thank you.